second half, I mean, at halftime, you wrote something on the board. What did you write?
Said we're going to win this game.
And is that the first time you've ever done that?
That I can recall. It was important that we believed it. It was important that it was important that we felt like, you know, for as much adversity as we had faced in the first half, to be only down by 6 and to realize that we were just one score away from being the lead, which in essence is what happened. But I'm going to say this: as a coach, you can write that. The players, they still have to go out and make it happen. And we were having a hard time in the second quarter putting 11 functioning defensive football players on the field because of getting back to just the conditioning level of being able to play in a game. We couldn't think straight. We couldn't play a base coverage. We could hardly do anything there for probably the second half of the second quarter. A lot of that self-inflicted because of staying on the field on third downs. So you're looking at at halftime. You're telling them the path back to how we're going to win the football game. But for those guys to go out and take control of the third quarter, there's things in the fourth quarter that we don't like, but probably for some of the same issues in the second quarter popped up in the fourth quarter. But for there's no 9-day layoff. That's never happened in a season where someone just doesn't practice or run or do anything, lift weights for 9 days. And it's hard to play football when you don't play football for 3 straight weeks. So for those guys to go out and just completely take control of the third quarter is one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen from the sideline.
Did you have to alter the way you coached in game because of that?
We were having our substitution patterns got all messed up. It was a scramble. There was the whole fourth quarter when we preferred to be in a nickel defense. We couldn't play nickel defense. At times we weren't sure what we could even call on third down. So there was, you're kind of staying loose and adjusting. Just sort of what you got. And some young guys, we have true freshmen in the secondary. We have 11 scholarship defensive backs at the University of Miami. 11. You should have 16 on a team. So it's sort of all hands on deck. And some guys got baptism by fire, but they'll be better for it down the road.
Manny, given all that you said, I mean, obviously the conditioning was something, and the layoff, how frustrating though still were those third down conversions? It just felt like Toledo just kept racking them up.
Right. In the first half, I think it was 10 of 14. Some of those were third and shorts, but some of them were third and longs. But, third down's an execution down. Okay, and we know that Woodside's a fantastic quarterback, and so what you see is when you're not locked in, when you're not properly leveraged, when you're not dropping to the right spot, when you're not really where you're supposed to be on third down against a quarterback like Woodside, the guy's he's gonna put it in there now. So I felt a lot of that was self-inflicted, and that's where you just see that. That's when it's a game, when you've got to be there, you've got to be in this spot to take this pass concept away, and that's where we were lacking early on.
I know it's probably hard to generalize, and obviously go back and watch the tape, but it just seemed like in the first half they were able to get some guys wide open.
Wide open.
Is there any one thing that you could point to, or is it just a multitude of
It would be, if it was always one guy, you could deal with that. But that's where I felt like just, when you get tired, the easy thing to think is that you can't run as fast or you're winded. And really what goes is the mind. So what it looked like to me was mental fatigue. And that's the thing. That's where I'm so proud of the second half performance, because to be able to turn it around and all of a sudden to be able to stop letting guys run wide open in our secondary and force quarterback into mistakes and force them to complete balls in tight windows is really what turned the game around and ultimately was the key factor in us winning.
With what you were just describing a moment ago, just guys flat exhausted, that you had to take them out when you didn't want to take them out.
But the issue was at some point we didn't have anyone to put in. That's really the hardest part. When there's a guy out there who is struggling, and you don't even have a guy to really replace him with, and that's where you felt like you were really kind of holding on there in the second quarter. So, like I said, what our training staff did, what our strength staff did, nutrition, just the fact what our administration did, allowing us to go to Orlando and just eat and give us the best possible chance to compete in this game. I think this is going to be a win that down the road I think we're going to really look back on and say this was a big one for getting our season going. The word is toughness, mental toughness. You guys might have heard Coach Rick, our third scrimmage, kind of the dress rehearsal, we always start with down. We start the game, it's the beginning of the third quarter, we're down by 24 points. And we reminded them of that at halftime, because actually when we did that scrimmage in August, it did not start well. I think the offense didn't score the first couple times that they had it. We gave up a third down or two, something like that. And so you could start to feel a little bit of that tension, like, hey, we're not really performing. And then, bang, we got a play. And then, bang, we got another play. And, bang, we got a turnover. And we kind of told them that this game was going to behave a lot like that scrimmage did. And really, for the better part of the third quarter, early fourth, it actually did. Excellent. Thank you all.